Hello, welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to learn our Python building function called sorted. If you are new to this channel, I am Walako. Let's dive in. Sorted function is a Python building function that takes in iterables and return a new sorted list. Examples of iterables that we can talk about are list, string, tuple, set, and dictionary. Okay, before we dive right into the sorted function, I want us to deal with another method that comes with list called sort, right? Let's see how that one works. Okay, so we'll call our product type list. Then we'll call the sort function on it. Okay, then what we will do is we'll actually print out our product type list. Okay, and see the result that we are going to get. Okay, so let's run the code. All right, so you realize that we've actually sort this particular data. The original state of the data is this, right? Now with this method, we actually lose the original state of the data, right? So this is what we call in place sort. It is in place sort because we lose the original state of the data, right? And this sort method works on only list. It does not work on string, tuple, and dictionary. Okay, so let's try it on tuple and see. So I have a tuple here. Let me run the sort function on it. And let me just run the code. Let me comment out this one and run the code. Okay, so let me run the code here. Let me clean up the screen and run the code again. Right, so you realize that tuple object has no attribute sort, right? So it actually does not work with tuple and dictionary as well as set. Okay, so let's move on. We are going to use the main sort function that we actually talk about. Okay, so sorted function takes in iterables, right? So we have a couple of lists here. We have number list and we have product type list, right? So we are going to pass in this one, and then we can print out our result. Okay, so what the sorted function does, it returns a new sorted list, which means that it does not actually change the original data, right? It just makes a copy of it and then reverse it and return it to us. Okay, so let's store that one in this result variable. Okay, then we can print out the result to the console. Okay, so let's try that one and see. All right, so we have it being reversed for us here. Okay, so and the original data is actually intact. So let's print out the original data here, and then let's pass in this one and let's rerun it. So we have the sorted list here, and we have the original content here, right? So it means that the original content doesn't get changed. Okay, so let's try the same process on tuple. All right, okay, let me comment out this one, and then let me come in here, and I'm just going to use a number list to the numbers to do that. So numbers tuple, and what I'm just going to do is let me copy this list here. Right now, we denote tuple with parentheses, right? So let me change the square bracket into parentheses. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to store the result in this variable, and I'm going to call the sorted function, and I'll pass in this tuple in it. Right, let me clean the screen and then run the code again, And okay, sorry, I did not actually print it out, so let me print it out to the screen. Okay, so we have our sorted data here. Now let's move on to work with dictionary, right? So let me comment out this one. Okay, so we have a data here to work with. Now let's again store the result into our result variable, and let's call the sorted function and then pass in our dictionary data. Okay, one thing about dictionary is that the sorted function actually is going to use the key to actually sort the data for us. So when we print out our result, we are going to have the keys being used rather than the value, right? So let's print it out, and you can see the keys are used here. Now if we want to use the value, we can also do that by calling on the value functions and then run the code again. And here we can see we can also sort by using the value also as well. Let's comment out this code here. Okay, so our next step is to work on the product object that we have here. Okay, so we have product here, and the product contains product name, attribute, price, and weight, right? Now we actually instantiate some of the products here. So we have product 1 object, product 2, product 3, product 4 object. Then we pass it in here as a list. Okay, so I'm going to pass in the product list to the sorted function and see how sorted is actually going to work with our class of product. Okay, so I'm passing in this list here, and first of all, let me just print it out, and let me print it out to the console. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, we actually had an error. Okay, so we have this greater than, not equal, not supported between instance of product and product. Sorted function doesn't know how to work with the product class that we pass in. Or there's an attribute that we have in here which is called key. Now the key allows us to pass in a function as a reference to the sorted function, right? So that the sorted function actually will use it to chain the sorting process. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to define a function called get price, because we want to actually sort the product list by price. Okay, so we will define a function called get price, right? Then we'll pass in products here. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to do is actually return the price of the product, right? So that the sorted function will use that one to actually sort our data for us. Okay, so I'll call on product dot price. Okay, then we'll pass our function as a reference to the key, right? So that the sorted function can use it, right? So now we can go ahead and run our code, and we are going to have it being working. Okay, so there's another attribute also we can work with, which is called reverse, right? So by default it is false. So what we are going to do, we are going to pass true to the reverse flag, so that we will actually sort our data in a descending order, right? By default it is in a ascending order. Okay, all right, so let's run our code again. Let's actually clean up this one and then run our code again. Okay, so now you can see we actually pair the prices we are returning a sorted list in a descending order. Okay, that is good. We can also sort it by using the product name. There's another way also to actually define an anonymous function, right, by using what we call lambda. Okay, so we pass in the variable. So we pass in the argument called product, and we are going to return the product name, right? So you go by saying product name here. Okay, so we return the product name. So this is an anonymous function, right, which is also going to work for us. So what we will do is we can clean up the space and then run it again. And this time around, it's actually doing the sorting based off on the product name. Okay, so we've learned how to use sorted function to actually sort couple of data, right? So now let's head to our code challenge and see how we can utilize sorted function to sort a product list. Okay, so we have sort the list of product by the price, right? So here we have couple of products here, and we have the price and being prefaced by USD. So pause this video and go ahead and solve this challenge and come back so that we can solve it together, right? All right, you are back. So our first step, what we are going to do is actually we need to format our data here, because we know that the price here is actually has a prefix of USD, right? So we need to format it. So first of all, I'll just define a function called format price, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass take in a product here, and then I'm going to return a formatted price. So we have return this one. Okay, fine. So first of all, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to remove the USD from it, right? So I'll just say result is equal to so the product will come in. So you have the product here and price. Then the price is actually a string, so I'm just going to call replace method on it, and I'll pass in a phrase which is going to be the USD phrase. And what is going to do, anytime you find any phrase in the price which is USD, replace it with an empty string, right? The next thing that we are going to do is we have to actually return so we have to return the value. Okay, so I'll call on return here, and then we can therefore pass this one to our function here. So the next thing we want to do is to return the sorted function, or return the sorted list rather of product. So sorted products. Okay, so I'm going to call the sorted function, and I'll pass in our products here. So I'll pass in our products list here, and we know that we need to pass in the key that will change the sorting process for it, because we want to use the price to sort, right? We can also pass in the reverse flag to sort our data in a descending order. Okay, now the function is being passed as a reference and it's doing all the formatting for us. Okay, so let's run the code and see if it works. Right now here we need to actually return the result. Okay, and we need to print out our code. All right, so let's run our code. So let's clean out the console and then run our code again. Okay, So we realized that we were able to sort the data, but then not as how we expected it. Now let's check why. Because we want to sort it in an ascending order. No, we want to sort it in a descending order. So it means that this one's supposed to be the first one in the list here. Supposed to be the first item in the list. But then it happened to be the fifth item. So the fourth item. So what we need to do is actually we need to convert this result, this formatted result, into a float or an integer, any of them that you want to use, and that should solve our problems for us. Because the first approach, what was happening is the sorted function is actually treating the value as a string, not as an integer, right, or floating. Okay, so let me just run it again so you can see that now we have it arranged or sorted correctly. I think we're able to solve this thing. Alright, so if you find value in this video, do not forget to subscribe and leave a like on the video. Thank you. See you.